I used to think ultra running was for this subset of elite runners. And to be able to run an ultra, you had to have years of running training behind you, and you had to have the mental strength of 10,000 people. But it wasn't until I started getting into ultra as a non-elite runner and then coaching clients to have successful experiences during their first ultras that I felt like I cracked the code on it a little bit. And I want to share with you some of the simple principles that are going to allow you to step up from marathon distance or shorter up into ultra successfully. Hi, I'm James Hudson and I'm a sport nutritionist and ultra runner. And I've ran 100-mile races, mountain ultras, as well as multi-day ultras, including the Dragon's Back, where you run the length of Wales over all of the highest peaks. I've also been coaching clients from a nutrition standpoint to have successful experiences in their first ultras. So without further ado, I want to share some of the simple principles that are going to allow you to transition up your distances and have really successful and enjoyable experiences during your ultras. So this video is called Ultra Running for Dummies. The first thing I think we need to consider is up here. It's in our mind. Our mindset needs to change. If we're used to running half marathons or marathons and we're used to maybe running a time, we have a time in mind, I want you to completely scrap that. I want you to start thinking about ultra marathons as a different sport. It's not just running, and it's not the same thing. So running short distances and running ultras, we're going to start thinking about them as different sports. So this is now a fun day out. It's just a fun day out, okay? It's not about pace. So if you want to walk hills, please do. You're going to be walking at some pace. This is assuming that you're not going for the race win. Let's have your first couple of ultras just getting your body used to the longer distances. So the first thing we need to think about here is changing the mindset. And the mindset is a fun day out. So how do we make sure that we have a fun day out? Something that we want to consider here. Ultra running, it's ultra endurance, endure. The whole point of this is pushing your body and enduring hardship. So actually, we want to combat that a little bit. We want to put things in place to make it as comfortable as possible so that you have an enjoyable experience. First thing then, to ensure that you have as comfortable an experience as possible, I'm going to try and draw it. I'll draw it in green. Okay. We're going to have bottles. We're going to have the pack. We are going to have a big running pack. This is going to allow you to have as much food as you want and need. So you've got that all-day picnic, you've got options. It's going to allow you to have as much fluid as you want and need so that you're not, oh God, where's the next aid station? We want this just to be fun, okay? I want you to be reacting in the moment to how you feel, what you want to eat, what you want to drink. So having a big enough bag so that you can carry all of that is going to be helpful. Because we're not really going for a time, and normally, as you're just getting into this, people are like, oh my God, you run an ultra marathon. They're not like, oh, what was your time for that 50K? Or what was your time for that 100K? People don't care unless you're really getting up there in terms of your experience levels. But this video is not for you. This video is for you if you just want to get into it. It's ultra running for dummies. So let's make it as comfortable as possible. Having a bag that is going to weigh a little bit more, sure, it's going to mean you have to work a little bit harder, but actually it's going to mean that your race is so much more enjoyable. So get a decent bag. You can get 20 litre, that's meant to be a 20 litre bags, or maybe a 15 litre bag. Probably a 10 litre bag is the absolute minimum because you're going to have stuff in there. You need kit, but also you want lots of pockets so that you've got lots of space for food. You can maybe have space for a bladder if it's going to be in the heat, but also 2 drinks bottles on the front. So I would advise this one, go big, and try not to maybe head down to Decathlon and get a super cheap one. I would say this is a bit of kit that you want to invest in. So the Solomon ones, the Montaigne ones, although they're pretty pricey, if you can afford it, I would say it's money well spent. They're really hugging, it's comfortable. If you're going to be getting into ultra running and progressing with it, this is going to be a bit of kit that's going to be absolutely invaluable. The next thing, actually, we want to make food fun. So, food, fun food. What do I mean by that? So if you are used to marathon running or road running and it's all about hitting numbers, it's 60 grams of carbs, 70 grams of carb per hour, and you're just nailing gels, and it's literally fueling for a specific purpose of holding numbers and keeping intensity high. Because ultra running is so much lower intensity, if you're just getting into it, like I said, there's going to be periods of walking, it's just that fun day out. Then what we want to do is we want to have food in there that you can enjoy. Because the intensity is lower, there's going to be more blood flow to the gut, so you can tolerate higher fat foods, tolerate foods with a bit more fiber, and that opens up food, which is whole food. So we don't just have to use gels, again, unless we're trying to get on the podium. What am I talking here? So we want to have fun foods. We want to have foods that are maybe a little bit salty so that you don't just have sweet the whole time. So maybe some crisps. Maybe we have some crackers, we have some pretzels, things like that. Maybe we have some sandwiches. Okay, all day picnic. I've spelled sandwiches wrong. All day picnic vibes. Maybe we want to have some cookies. Okay, you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, these are all the foods that I never or feel like I can't eat. Nothing is off the table here. Even foods that aren't necessarily bringing carbohydrate. So actually, if you want to have some biltong, okay, salty, chewy. If you want to have a pork pie, be my guest. Bear in mind that the intensity is going to be a lot lower. So the recommendations for fueling ultras may be something like 30 to 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour. This is an absolutely massive range. So yes, the people at the top of the race will be consuming this and more. But as the intensity is going a lot slower, if you're not really fussed at all about the time and you're just looking to have that fun day out, then you're probably going to be having a lot lower numbers of carbohydrate. So actually have some foods with more fat in them. Have some foods that are more tasty. The more tasty the food, the more likely you are to eat, and actually that's going to make you more inclined to have a bit more coming in. That's going to mean that you're feeling better and you've got more substrate to power you so you don't power down. Same thing with hydration. So we've got fun food, we're going to have lots of different options in our pack, lots of different flavor options. I want you to have enough fluid so that you can drink to thirst, so that you're not thinking, God, 5K to the checkpoint, God, I'm so thirsty. Take enough fluid with you and actually have a few options here. So I'd always recommend having one that's plain water and maybe one that's a carb mix, maybe all with some electrolytes, so that when you're running and you're thinking, what is it that I really fancy? You might have that thought, which is, I want plain water. In which case, have some plain water. If you think, actually, I could do with something there, I'd maybe want a bit of fuel from it, you can have your sports drink. Then when you get to a checkpoint, you can walk through, you can have a hot drink, slow down, see what there is there at the checkpoint. Normally, advice is don't do anything new on race day, and that's pretty strong advice. However, during an ultra marathon, if you see something at a checkpoint, maybe it's some orange, maybe it's a watermelon, you probably haven't tested that midway through a run before. I would say go with your gut, go with your instinct, and take it, enjoy it. Again, because the intensity is lower, you're probably going to be able to handle it. The whole goal of this is having fun. If you are able to get into ultra running, complete it, make it as comfortable as possible, and you've enjoyed a big range of food and you've had fun, you're more likely to stay in the sport. You're more likely to want to do another one. People talk about the type 2 fun of ultra running, and that as soon as you finished, it's like, oh God, that was great, I want to do another one. I don't really get that. Really, type 1 fun, we should be enjoying the whole thing. And then afterwards, type 2, okay, cool, I'm going to go and book on something after. To be able to enjoy it, let's focus on this, okay? Comfort, right kit, lots of fun food, you will have a great experience. Don't overthink the numbers if you're just getting into it. Experiment, have a lot of variety, and then reflect on how you feel throughout. If you want more tips on ultra running, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll be putting out a lot more content soon.